Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, every day it gets a little bit crazier, doesn't it? And the crazy thing I want to talk to you about today is John George's dad, Billy. Now, John George is a case we've been following. Just a quick catch up for anybody who doesn't know this case. John's 37-year-old father of two came to Spain, to the Alicante region, supposedly to stay with a friend. And anyway, to cut a very long story short, John, while he was here, was tragically murdered by, it seems like, his own friends and just dumped in a lemon grove in Rocales in Alicante. In the meantime, his family came out to search for him and were sent on a wild goose chase, were sent to completely the wrong place, searched for him for weeks. Finally, John's body was found. Or it's thought that maybe one of the suspects in his murder told the Guardia Civil where it was. It's unclear exactly what happened, how he was found, but luckily he was found, at least, even though it was in the saddest of circumstances. But at least it meant that John's family could take John home, put him to rest. Now, John, as his family have said right from the beginning, was no angel. He'd gone the wrong way in life. But from what I can see, from the comments I get left from people who knew him, he was someone who'd gone the wrong way in life. But he seemed to have so much love, not just from his family, but from his friends, from his acquaintances. He was a popular guy. Now, as you know, the way I look at it, there but for the grace of God go I or one of my family. People, I just think sometimes the people that say no just because of the lifestyle he had, because he was an addict at the end of the day. It must be murder being perfect, mustn't it? But anyway, there you go. So the stage we are at the moment with this case is that there is people have been arrested and released, or one person has been arrested and released on bail in Torrevieja in Alicante, and that is Michael Malley. And there's a warrant out for another man. In fact, there are 3 arrest warrants out for a man that has been named on the BBC and in the media as Johnny Smith. And supposedly he is being looked for. There's a national Spanish arrest warrant out for him, a European arrest warrant out for him, and an international arrest warrant out for him. But it's been quite a few weeks now. I think it's a bit of a surprise that he hasn't been caught so far. But anyway, that's the situation where we are. And the reason I'm making this video is because this is what's left for the family now. They've at least taken their loved one home. They've given him a decent burial, but he's still gone, But what they want now is justice. They want whoever did this to be held to account, of course, just like you would, just like I would, just like anybody would, even the perpetrator. They would, if it was their loved one, their family. Anybody would want the person who did this to their loved one to be held to account. That's human nature. Anyway, it turns out that Billy, John's father, and I'm going to put a picture of him more. Let's go to the article. So he's getting daily death threats, apparently, which, it just seems so wrong, doesn't it? Because it's bad enough losing your child. I've got this ready somewhere, but of course I can't find it. It's bad enough losing your child. I mean, he wasn't a child in that sense. He was 37 years old, but he'll always be Billy's child, Billy George, and his mum, Sharon. He'll always be their child. Doesn't matter how old your child is, they're always your child. Okay, so let's have a look at this article. I mean, I was really surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, really, I suppose, but I am surprised because, it's bad enough losing your loved one, but then to get daily death threats. Apparently, according to the Belfast Telegraph, dad of murder victim John George vows to defy daily death threats. John George's father is unfazed and he hopes to see the killer rot in the cells. Now, I think the thing is, once you've lost your son or daughter or anyone, but especially your son or daughter, like a child, losing a child's got to be probably the worst thing that you could experience. You know, Billy probably thinks, well, you know, what do you think you're going to do to me now? You know, John's passed over, John George, or Georgie as he's known, or John Hardy, he's passed over to the other side. So as far as Billy's concerned, he's gone through the most terrible pain that a parent can go through, burying your child, however old they are. Of course, John did have two young boys as well, so they've lost their daddy. You know, which thing is, whatever, you know, John Georgie did take wrong choices. I don't think anyone's disputing that. His family said it right from the beginning, you know, but he just, you know, there but for the grace of God, as I say. So apparently John, he was a very good boxer when he was young. And he committed a crime when he was a young teenager, went to prison, came out a different boy. That's what his family say about him. And by the time he came out of prison, he was addicted to prescription drugs because he could not settle in the prison. So the father of murdered West Belfast man John George is receiving daily death threats, but defiant and determined to seek justice, Billy George is unfazed by the threats to his life and is hopeful he will go to his grave, knowing that his son's killer will rot behind bars. He has also vowed to track down Johnny Smith. Now he's being openly named now, you know, on the BBC, on mainstream media. I don't think the Guardia Civil have named him, though, having said that, who John George travelled to Spain to visit, and he believes he may have information about his murder. John's body was recovered on January the 7th, and a post-mortem showed he had been shot and stabbed. Smith previously went public to deny involvement in criminality after he had a boat seized in 2020 as part of a PSNI investigation into Southeast Antrim UDA drug dealing. He vanished in the aftermath of John's disappearance on the Costa del... Now they're saying the Costa del Sol. It's not the Costa del Sol. You know, it's not very good reporting, is it, by some, you know, like the Belfast Telegraph. You know, aren't they supposed to be a reputable media company? It was it's Costa Blanca, not the Costa del Sol. Costa del Sol is Marbella. That's sort of miles away from the Costa Blanca. So I'm not sure why they've put the wrong thing there. Anyway, he said, I'm not worried about the death threats, the threatening mass cards, and all the threats I have had since John was murdered, Billy George told Sunday Life. I worry about my wife, my children, not me. I will take a bullet for my son to seek and chase justice. I believe in karma. All involved in my son's death will have their day. I believe in that, in karma. I will never give up. I will never stop fighting. You can threaten me, say you will kill me, but I will not stop for my son, never, ever. And this is it. I think you can't underestimate. He's lost his son. So, you know, these death threats, much, you know, and scary as they are, I mean, they must be terrifying, really. They would be terrifying. But Billy's not, he's gone past that point. He just wants justice for his son. There had been speculation that Johnny Smith was hiding in Thailand, but Billy George and the Spanish police believe he is still in Spain. He's here in Spain, I know he is, added Billy. People know where he is and they should speak up, tell the truth, find your conscience. Billy also laughed off civil proceedings issued against him by Smith's wealthy mum Dawn. The businesswoman is seeking an exclusion order after he confronted her last week. It's a difficult one, that, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, Dawn is Johnny's mum, so I suppose her allegiance is going to be to him. But I don't know. I mean, it's a different world, isn't it? To me, if Johnny is innocent, he should come forward, and if he's not innocent, he should still come forward. He should just say what happened, because otherwise, he's just going to be on the run for the rest of his life. Does he really want that? I don't care. They can do what they want, said Billy. My son was a kind man with problems, but what happened to him is unjustifiable. And that's how I feel about, I've had so many comments left about John, people who knew him, and not family. And I don't think he was, he was a bad man in some ways, I suppose, because of what he got involved in. But there is bad and bad, isn't there, at the end of the day? And what I would say to the people that are involved, you do have to think about your conscience, whatever. I know maybe you don't worry about that, maybe you don't lose sleep over what happened to John, maybe he was inconsequential to you. But think about your own soul. That's what I would say to people. You think you're going to, even if you escape justice in this world, because I would imagine whoever's involved in this, they've probably been brought up in with some sort of religion. Because in Northern Ireland, in Northern Ireland, religion is a big thing. Think about it. Are you certain that you won't go to purgatory for what you've done? Are you 100% certain? You see, I feel like Billy's ready to meet his maker if he has to, and so he's not fazed by these threats against his life, but he's not thinking he's going to go into eternal hell and damnation and purgatory, is he? So I would just say, examine your conscience and try and save your soul. And if you're innocent, then why are you hiding? So, Billy George was speaking to Sunday Life days after a BBC Spotlight documentary retraced John's final days. Footage appearing to show John being handed a handgun while in Spain has fueled Billy's belief his son was lured to the continent by so-called friends before being executed. Footage Billy has long acknowledged his son had fallen in with criminal elements and had been involved with drug dealers, but the brutality of John's murder shocked an entire community. His semi-naked remains were found on waste ground at Rocales in Alicante. He had been stabbed before being shot twice, once in the face. I mean, that is pretty brutal, isn't it? I mean, what could have been so bad that this man did, that John did, that warranted that sort of treatment? And, this what makes me think that whoever did it, they were off their face or something at the time. Because how did they think they were going to be able to leave a body there in a lemon grove in Rocales and never be held to justice? And as I say, to me, it's not even the criminal justice. It's your own justice, your own responsibility, what you contribute to this life, and what you go on when you pass on to the next life. None of us are perfect. We all do things we wish we hadn't done, but there are some mortal sins like this one, the cruelty, the fact of taking someone else's life and not being repentant. That would be the key thing, not caring at all, sending false information to the family. So they were searching for their loved one in the wrong place over Christmas and New Year. These are, things that God will never forgive. Now maybe you don't believe in God. If you're the person who's done this, maybe you don't believe in God. But are you sure? Are you 100% sure you're going to wait until you pass over before you find out what's going to happen to you in eternal damnation? Or are you going to do the right thing and at least have a chance of doing the right thing? I think we're here on this earth to make things better for people, not worse. What John will be paying for his own, he'll be paying the piper himself now, whatever he did in his life or didn't do. He'll be accounting for it. That's his journey to take. nobody else's. And just the same as for you, if you do something, for all of us, if we do wrong things, we should try our best to atone for them. We can't change them, can't bring them back, but we can do something. Everybody can do something. First thing to do would be to hand yourself in. So Billy George, who led a search for his son with an army of supporters travelling to Spain to join the hunt, said of the killers, "They have to close their eyes, go to sleep. I can't because of my son, how he was murdered, his last moments, his last thought. They shouldn't have a peaceful night either." That's it. Are they having a peaceful night? Or is the only way that they're getting to sleep is by taking more drugs? Is that how they're coping with the fact that, this is a mortal sin to take someone's life? It is, you can't do any more than that, really. So how are you ever going to just live a normal life again? I don't know. Anyway, that's their choice in their life, their loved one's choice, if they're hiding them, or anyone who's hiding them. You're all playing with your soul. To me, you're putting your soul in mortal danger. Even if you don't care about John, you don't care about Billy, you don't care about the family, care about yourself. So I thought I'd just bring you that information, because also you just think, well, who would threaten a grieving father? But and never underestimating him, because he's at a point where he's had what would probably be the worst thing happen to him by having his son murdered. So what now? He's probably a bit impervious to all those threats, etc. And it won't stop him. It won't stop him. Okay, I thought I'd just let you know about that. Thank you so much for watching. Till I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye.